Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Who is behind the Occupy Wall Street movement? That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Officials in Chicago say they consider themselves lucky that there wasn't more violence at the NATO summit over the weekend. Thousands of protesters, many aligned with the Occupy movement, hit the streets of the Windy City, determined to tell the world how much they despise NATO. Question: what does income inequality and unfair economics have to do with NATO? Just asking. Anyway, about 90 people were arrested, dozens injured, including 8 police officers, one of whom was stabbed. Now, you may remember in the beginning of the Occupy Wall Street movement, President Obama was publicly sympathetic toward it. Today, Wendell Goler asked Jay Carney about that.
The president has voiced support for the Occupy folks in the past for these their goals. Did their actions in Chicago sour his support?
Well, I think you're making broad comparisons between different groups. What the president has said in the past is that he has understood the frustrations that Americans have about the failure in particular of Wall Street in some cases to well, because of obviously Wall Street's role in the financial crisis that helped precipitate the worst recession since the Great Depression.
With all due respect, Mr. Carney looked a bit shaky there, did he not? Now, the Factor has been investigating who exactly is behind the Occupy movement, which is now very well organized and no longer a citizen protest. Rather, it is a hardcore far-left movement designed to cause as much trouble as possible. The sincere occupiers left a long time ago. What's left are the professional agitators. The Occupy movement is now being run out of Washington, D.C., in offices belonging to the Institute for Policy Studies, a far-left outfit. The director of the group is John Kavanaugh, longtime liberal activist. His nonprofit institute accepts money from, surprise, George Soros through the Tides Foundation. Hundreds of thousands of dollars are involved. The Service Employees International Union, headed by Mary Kay Henry, is paying rent for the Occupy Wall Street crew in D.C. About $4,000 a month the union's picking up. The SEIU has more than 2 million members and collects about $300 million a year from dues and other financial vehicles. Ms. Henry herself has visited the White House a number of times, as has the former head of the SEIU, Andy Stern. He's also been a frequent visitor to the White House and remains deeply involved with the union. From their D.C. offices, the Occupy leadership emails game plans to their hardcore members, telling them where to assemble, what to protest, and even what to wear. Today, for example, the Occupy agitators were told to wear red for a New York City protest. Again, the goal of the occupiers is no longer to raise awareness of economic injustice, it is to disturb the peace and attack those with whom they disagree. The occupiers have big plans for the political conventions this summer, and disruption is the strategy. It is long past time for President Obama to condemn the anarchistic element of the occupiers, which is now dominant. Instead, the president falls back on protecting freedom of speech platitudes. Sure, tell that to the Chicago cop who got stabbed, Mr. President. And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction. With us are Barack and a Hard Place duo, Monica Crowley and Alan Colmes. So, Colmes, what say you?
I say that there's no reason why the president should dignify crazy left-wing or right-wing on any side agitators by giving them presidential attention. And it's beneath his dignity.
But he did yesterday. He gave them presidential attention yesterday by saying that NATO stood for freedom of speech and allowed these people to do it.
They have freedom of speech, and we all know that. Does anybody in their right mind think that the president somehow backs someone who's going to stab a Chicago cop?
Well, why doesn't he come out and say that? Because it's in context to what he said in the beginning.
Not every candidate can renounce everybody, whoever is crazy.
Everybody, any candidate. And how did Jay Carney do today, answering Wendell's question? How did he do?
I think he should have been a little more on point and answered a little more forcefully.
Did that answer make sense to you? Do you have any idea what he was saying?
What I would have said is I would have focused on
I don't really. We don't really care what you would have said. How did he do?
I don't have that gift.
All right, A being the best, F being.
I would say he did. I would give him a C. I think what he focused on.
Pretty generous, man. Are you doing on the curve? curve?
No,
Are you
it's a
marking
curve.
on the
It's
curve?
a curve because, you know,
Yeah.
it's tough
Okay.
gig. Let me just say, what he talked about was the frustration
Yeah, I
people
know what
have.
he's talking about.
He
Everybody's
understood that.
frustrated. Okay, now, look, we know you don't like the occupiers. We know you're conservative. But I don't understand why Barack Obama now, with a police officer being stabbed, the city of Oakland almost being burned down, okay, just doesn't come out and say, you know, in the beginning, it was okay, a citizen protest. But now, this is unacceptable, and I repudiate it. Because if I were Mitt Romney, I would be all over the airwaves today going, hey, all right, yes or no?
Right. Well, Obama won't say it because he can't
Yes, he
condemn
can.
Occupy
Yes, he
Wall
can.
Street. No,
Yes,
and let
he
me
can.
tell you why. Occupy Wall Street, forget about the shock troops on the ground at Zuccotti Park and in Chicago this week, and focus on the generals who have been orchestrating this. You pointed out SEIU, AFL-CIO, the International Socialist movement, the American Communist Party, assorted anarchists, and let's not forget Bill Ayers and Van Jones, very
them all
tightly,
in.
excuse me, very tightly involved in this from the beginning. From last summer, they orchestrated this.
And you don't
here's
think it would
why
be
Obama-
wise for the President of the United States to
here's why-
distance himself
here's
from
why he
those
ca-
people?
Here's why he cannot do it, Bill. Because Occupy Wall Street was set up and orchestrated and executed for two reasons. One, to supply Barack Obama with his central campaign theme of income inequality.
But they don't
and
like
number
him.
number two, don't be so sure.
Well, they were
And
going to
number
bomb his
two,
headquarters in Chicago. They arrested 3 of them there.
This gets me to my second point, to create enough chaos and disorder in this country to justify two things, either A, a government crackdown, or B, to justify any kind of activity to get the redistributionist agenda
No,
through.
I-
This is
it-
all about, wait a minute,
it's-
this
wait,
is all
wait,
about
Monica,
destroying the economic system in order to destroy the political system.
They don't have enough numbers, as I said, to do that. And I also predicted that the Occupy Wall Street would lose all credibility, which they have. Now it's a hardcore crew. Look, 2,000 is not a lot of protesters to bring to Chicago, Combs. It's not, okay? So the whole thing is truncated. But the 2,000 that show are very, very adamant about causing
But they attempt
trouble.
to try to tie them or any of these people to Barack Obama.
Well,
which
that's
is
what
done for
Monica does. I'm
political
not doing that.
purposes.
But I will tell you this. It is a tremendous mistake for Barack Obama not to repudiate
Well, let's
these.
not forget.
20 seconds and 20
They
seconds.
are protesting, as you pointed out, both conventions. They're protesting Obama. They are not in his pocket. They are not supporting him. They're anarchists.
But he is
who
the
don't
leader
support-
of the country.
They don't support the
and
political
he needs
system.
to set a tone
I don't
in
believe
this
the leader of the country. It's
But
responsible.
remember,
You don't believe he's the
guys,
leader of the
Every
country?
single time some nut says or does something does not deserve presidential
You're completely missing
attention.
the point of why they are operating. Of course, it's not Barack Obama orchestrating the generals and the troops in the street, but they're operating on his behalf, on behalf of his agenda.
All right.
That's why he will
It's
not
not his
condemn it,
agenda.
because he can't. They're actually advancing
Prediction
his cause.
time. He's going to repudiate them soon.
And don't underestimate their power, Bill, and the ability for the unions to amplify
I
this.
think they can cause a lot of trouble, and I said this.
And
I
they
think
will.
somebody's going to get killed.
And they're going
I
to
absolutely think.
ramp
Unless
up
these
the
people are,
violence.
I think somebody's going to get killed. I absolutely do. All right, next.